the one who created you, who knows you intricately inside and out, and gives us the grace to walk out each day. In the good and the bad, he is with us. He sees us through, and he is our hope and our anchor. So I just ask, God, that you would help us to connect this morning with the God of all creation, the God who knows us, the one who pulls us forward. Thank you for your goodness, for your hope and your light, God. Yeah, we just center ourselves on that this morning. Feel free to put your hands together. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing your songs again. When over past and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Sing your rich in love, you're rich in love, and you're slow to anger. Your name is great, and your heart is kind. For all your goodness, I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Yeah. Sing, bless the Lord, bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship his holy name. Oh, sing like never before, oh my soul, we worship his holy name. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end is near and my time has come, still my soul will sing your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Yeah. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship just reminded of the passage where Paul says, I know what it is to be content in plenty or in want, in sadness or in joy. God, we find our contentment in the goodness of God, in the faithfulness of our Maker.
In walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. And waiting for change to come, and knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed me yet. And I know the night won't last, and your word will come to pass, and my heart will sing your praise again. And Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness,
Let's all sing this chorus together.
I called, you answered, and you came to my rescue, and I want to be where you are. My whole life I place in your hands, God of mercy, humbled I bow down in your presence at your throne. I call, you answer, and you came to my rescue, and I wanna be where you are. I call, you answer, and you came to my rescue, and I wanna be where you in my life, be lifted high in our world, be lifted high in our love, be lifted higher in my life, be lifted high in my world, be lifted high in our love, be lifted high in my life, be lifted high in my world, be lifted high in our love, be lifted
In my heart and my soul, I give you control. Consume me from the inside out. Oh, let justice and praise become my embrace, to love you from the inside out. Sing that with me. In my heart and my soul, I give you control. Consume me from the inside out, God. Let justice and praise become my embrace, to love you from the inside out.
everlasting, your light will shine. lifted high in our love. Be lifted high. In my life, be lifted high in our world. Be lifted high in our love. Be lifted high.
Will you pray with me? God, thank you that no matter what is happening around us, you still remain. You remain holy and faithful and loving and gracious, merciful, forgiving, never retreating, always extending in love and grace and truth. God, I'm so thankful for those reminders today that we don't center on temporal things. We center on the eternal. God, may your name be lifted high. And no matter what is going around us, God, in the midst of the chaos, I'm so thankful you are our center, and that center will hold. God, thank you that you are our anchor. And it's not an anchor that drags us down, but it's an anchor that lifts us up into hope, into resurrection, into redemption. And we know the story is never finished when you're the author of it. So I'm so thankful for this time of worship to remember who you are, God. That when everything is stripped away, you remain. God, help us to center on that. Help us to trust in you in deeper ways. And to remember that your center holds and it's held for generations. And it's always a story of redemption. It's always a story of beauty from ashes. It's always a story that bends towards love and justice and wholeness and unity. God, help us to devote our lives to that. And during our time on this earth, God, help us to extend love and grace and mercy as we center on you, God. Help us to remember we're all connected in the story that you are authoring. You are good, God, and I'm so, so thankful. We give today to you. In Jesus' name, amen. You guys can be seated. Thank you, worship band. It was beautiful. Good morning. Good morning. It's good to see all of you. I love when the lights come up and I can actually make eye contact and see faces and just connect with you guys. So glad you're here with us today. A special welcome to those of you who are visiting with us, or maybe it's been a while since you've been here. Welcome, welcome. As you walked in, you should have received a program from Chris or Sienna at the doors. If not, we've got Roy coming up the center aisle. The program is great. You can take notes. Roy should also have pencils as well. You can take notes during the message. You can also use the tear-off at the bottom of the program to give us your name and contact information. We'd love to connect with you. You can also write prayer requests, any questions on there, and just drop them in the box at the end of the service. If you're visiting with us, we want this service to be a gift and a blessing to you, so no obligation to give or anything. We want to give to you. We don't need you to give to us. So I just have a couple of announcements today and ways to connect here at New Hope Lucas and in the broader New Hope family. The first is New Hope, which began in 1999, is getting ready to celebrate 20 years is in existence as a church. And we're going to do that on Sunday, October 13th in Murphy at the amphitheater. So church is going to be taken outside. There's going to be inflatables, food trucks, bounce houses, games. It's going to be a great time to celebrate and remember all that God has done at New Hope. this space included. So I hope you'll make time to do that. It's going to be a very family-friendly, fun event, praying the weather holds as well. Secondly, next week, I'm not even going to look at that slide. I'm not going to do it. We're going to be celebrating all that God has done here, and we're going to be pressing the pause button on New Hope Lucas as we've known it, and we couldn't think of a better way to celebrate and feel all the feelings than to share in communion together as a community, and then have our community meal. So I hope that you will be here for that. It will speak volumes to have you present here together for this last time. So please, next Sunday, bring a dish to share. Let's celebrate together. There have been so many wonderful things that have happened. It's not a goodbye. It's just a pressing pause, or it's a see you later. But let's give God the glory in it. There's been so many great things that have happened. So please make sure to be there for that. Also, for those of you that are interested in potentially there being something else here at Lucas, in the Lucas community, you can contact Keith Spurgeon at keith@newhopechristian.org, and you just let him know you're interested in something happening in the Lucas area, and he will get back to you with more information. Sound good? All right. If everybody could please stand up, turn around to the people around you, make sure everybody feels welcome today.
So good to be with you all, and I want to welcome all of you here, including those joining us online. Love you lots, and those of you who are new or just checking us out, and really glad that you're here. So we like Karen mentioned, this is next week will be our kind of final service here, and so I've been thinking that because that will be kind of a unique service. We'll have some testimonies and sharing all that God's done in the last few years. Really, today is like my last full-on message. And so I was thinking, I've been thinking for weeks, well, geez, what do you say? How do you, no pressure. And so I've been thinking well, maybe I shouldn't think so much what to say. I've been thinking, what have I been trying to say for 3 years? And because, every preacher really just has one message that they just keep trying to do over. They're trying to name the thing, and they come at it from this angle, and then that angle, and this and that, And so I've been thinking, okay, what is that I've been trying to say? And so here, if I could, this is my best stab at summing up what I have been trying to say for 3 years. And so here it is. Live the story. That's what I've been trying to say. Now, you guys know me. I love the Jesus story. Love it. In fact, more specifically, I love the small Jesus stories that make up the big Jesus story. And so I was thinking this week of just what are the story, what are the things that I love those stories. And who can forget classic one? This probably makes most of your at least top 10. Probably, it should be in your top 3. If it's not, we need to talk. All right, so it's John 8, and it's the story of the woman caught in adultery. Y'all remember this? It's an odd phrase, isn't it? The woman caught in who gets caught in the, it's a strange, but this is actually how the story goes. So there's Jesus, he's teaching the people, when suddenly he sees off in the distance a mob. I'm sure they're walking with a sense of authority. A mob never, meanders in. It's always and serious, serious looks. And so here they come in the distance, and who's at the forefront of them but, of course, the Pharisees, the religious leaders of the day, and they have someone. They're like half dragging her. I'm imagining in my mind's eye like someone, it says, and eventually when they get there, they say, we caught this woman in the very act. Which is, again, a strange thing to say. I have two thoughts. One is like, how did you know? What? I don't get it. But number two, where's the dude? Right? Why is it just her? Okay, anyway. So here they come, and I'm imagining her, she must be like half naked, humiliated, and terrified, because what they intend to do is they want to stone her to death. And they want to get Jesus caught in the middle of it. So they get there and they say, we caught this one in the very act of adultery, and you know that according to the scriptures, she ought to be stoned to death, so what do you say? Now, in fact, the scriptures do say that. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 10 makes it really clear that the man and the woman both are to be stoned to death in the case of adultery. That's in the Old Testament. So here's Jesus. Now, the thing is, the reason, you may think, well, why don't they just do what they want to do? Why are they going to Jesus? Well, because they want to trap him, right? He's got sort of brand Jesus reputation. Jesus is, he's the kind one. He's the merciful, the compassionate one, the friend of sinners. That was how he was known, the friend of sinners. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to sully his reputation. They're trying to show, look, you're not any better than us. At the end of the day, you'll get your hands dirty just like everyone else, right? This is what they're doing. They're trying to pressure him. Because on the one hand, if he's like, well, I just don't really think we should do that. They're like, oh, so you're going soft on truth. I knew it. We knew it, right? Or if he's like, well, gosh, you're right. That isn't there. I guess we have, right? Then he's sort of down to their level. So what's he to do? What's he to do? I was even thinking this week about stoning. Like, what a terrible way to die. And not just because, painful, but, which just so everyone's clear, this is in the Middle East, right? This is the geography, so there's lots of stones, right? Out here, we could never do this. But there are plenty of stones just laying around. So everyone, and if you think of stoning, it is death by community. Think of that. Like, that's what it is. Like, right? Community. We're going to love each other. We're going to be there for each other and support each other in the hard times. And, so what happens, when the community turns on you? And now it's literally death by community. And then think of it. At the end of a stoning, what's left? You're there. Can't really see you. Why? Because there's a heap. Right? Heap of stones. I wonder how long would those stones stay there? Might you, walk back through it, right, on your way, and you keep seeing, for, I don't know how long it's there, weeks, months, years, the heap of stones, just always remembering, oh, remember that moment, right? So here she is, dragged forward. They say, we caught him in the very act. What do you say? And Jesus, in his brilliant, frustrating way, does he say, well, let me give you a quick answer. Nope. You know what he does? The text says that he stoops down and he begins to doodle. No joke. That's what the text says. He literally stoops down, starts just drawing in the sand. What's he drawing? What's he writing? Do not judge, lest you too be. We don't know. The text doesn't say. It just says he's doodling in the sand. And then he stands up and he looks at them. And he says, well, how about this? How about you, who's without sin, go ahead. Toss the first stone. Is that not brilliant? That's brilliant. Here is a mob ready to do violence. And what does he do? He holds up a mirror. This is an incredible Jesus moment. And the text says that one by one, they begin to drop their stones, beginning with the oldest. Imagine the sound of that, just boom, 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 as they're just dropping their big stones. And then it says, beginning with the oldest, they start to walk away. Why the oldest? Well, here's what I think. I think it's because it's the oldest who know themselves the best. See, the young ones among us lie to ourselves till we tell ourselves stories of how we're just one Bible verse, like memory verse away. We're just one prayer away from getting it figured out, just one more church service, and like one more self-help book. Once I get that one self-help book, and then it's gonna click, I'm gonna figure it out, right? But you start getting up there in years, and you realize, I'm a project. I am forever a project. And hopefully, I'm making a little progress, growing more like Jesus. But, so beginning with the oldest, they drop the stones and walk off until it's simply Jesus and the woman there. What a moment for her. I imagine just tears are just streaming down her face. Talk about a near-death experience. She was right there. And then Jesus asks her a beautiful question. Does anyone here condemn you? And she looks around and it's empty. She says, no one, my Lord. He says, well, neither do I. Go, sin no more. I love Jesus. I love Jesus' stories. God bless that. Is that not just beautiful? It's beautiful, powerful. And what's going on in that story? It's endless insight. We could just do a series on that story. And you could probably preach for a year. Just on that story, just drawing out the different, right? What is it? It's everything in that story. It's mercy, it's forgiveness, it's judgment. It's wisdom. The wisdom of, it's everything. It's beautiful. I love that story. Another story I love is Matthew 25, my life chapter. I love Matthew chapter 25. It's the story, I've preached on it many times here. If you've come for the last few years, you've definitely heard me touch on this one. It's my fave. It's the story, it's actually a parable that Jesus tells. He says, at the end of all things, in the great day of the Lord, the nations will be gathered before him. It's this judgment day kind of, scene. He says, all peoples will be gathered before me. And he says, in that day, I'm going to divide people into two groups. You guys, anyone remember the groups? It's the sheep and the goats, right? Which is, I get, in the 21st century, that is a strange metaphor. We're like, I don't get it. Well, so sheep are, honestly, they're the perfect stand-in for human beings because, they're dumb, but they mean well. That's sort of sheep, right? They have good hearts. But if you know sheep, they are dumb as bricks, right? And I think that's good for human beings, right? We mean well, but boy, we can be idiots, right? So he says, at best, we're sheep, which I like. So he goes, the sheep. Now, if you know anything about goats, anyone been around goats? No one? Has anyone raised goats? Okay, I've seen some. Yeah, there's some cautious hands. Introverts are kind of like, yes, that's me. So goats are, maybe you love goats. That's okay if you love goats. I don't love goats. Goats are awful. Goats, they stink. I remember I had a friend who had goats, and because I grew up in Lucas, so we went over to Farmersville back in it's probably right when New Hope was starting, 99 or so, and we go out to the Farmersville, and there I could meet these goats, and these goats would chase me around, because why? Because goats stink, and goats are aggressive. Goats are just terrible. All right, so that's the metaphor, is you got the sheep, sort of the innocent ones, and then the goats. These would be aggressive, sort of it's a picture of violent, of, just not us at our best. So he's in that day of the Lord. I'm going to divide people up. It's going to be the sheep at my right hand, the goats to the left. And what I'm going to say to the sheep is the sheep people, right? I'm going to say, welcome home. Receive the inheritance set apart for you by my Father since the foundation of the world. That sounds good, right? Like, yes, okay, that's what I want to hear God say is welcome home, good news for you, right? But here's what's so subversive about this story. This is why it messes with our theology, messes with my theology, is it's the rationale for why he says that to them. Because here's what he doesn't say. He doesn't say, because you have read the Bible front to back, or you attended Sunday school. Some people just went to church, but you got there early and you went to Sunday school. Or you didn't do drugs, right? Way to go. It's none of that. And in fact, it's not even because you knew the magic word, Jesus. It doesn't say that. He says, because I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was hungry, you fed me. I was naked and humiliated, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came and said hi. And he says, in that moment, the sheep will reply, and they'll say, I'm so sorry, but there's been a mistake. We never did that. We never saw you. We never did those things to you. And what does he say? What you did to the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you did to me. What's he saying? He's saying, there are always invisible people around us. And how we will be judged is based on how we treat the invisible ones. That's about the most profound thing I've ever heard. I mean, imagine, like, that's what he says is judgment. Like, what's it based on? It's not like, you were successful, you made a boatload of money, you climbed to the top. Everyone around you said, wow, way to go. Or even in religious terms, right? Like, you knew all the Bible verses, or you knew philosophy and theology, and had, what a mind, I mean, it's none of that. It's how did you treat the invisible ones? That's what it's about. See, because there's invisible ones all around us, all day, every day, brothers and sisters. Right now, there are invisible ones in this church community. Because every community has the people that are, everyone wants to be friends with them. And we all have our various reasons for wanting to be friends with those. Like, that's just my kind of person. Or personality, or, whatever the value. Every society places value upon people, right? Like, we all do this. Every church community, every school, every workplace, right? These are the valued ones. And I love what Jesus is saying is, how did you treat the invisible ones? That's what it's about. I love the Jesus story. And then, of course, there's crucifixion, which what I think is so profound about the crucifixion is it is this moment where everything Jesus was about, in one scene, you see it all. It's all there. I mean, if you just think of any of his teachings, right? Love your neighbor and pray for those who persecute you. Right? Like if you want to be great, you want to be greatest of all, become the servant. No greater love has any person in this than that he laid down his life for his friends. I mean, it's all there. Everything he was about. All the values, right? The mercy, the compassion, the Lord forgive them for they know not what they do. I mean, it's all the teachings, everything he was about. His whole message of the kingdom is right there in the crucifixion, right? Where he chooses to say, I'm not going to go the way of coercion, the way of force, the way of I'm the Lord of all, and I'm going to get my way, by golly, right? What does he do? The Lord of all creation goes to the cross. The Apostle Paul would later say, this is a stumbling block. For the Jews, a stumbling block. For the Greeks, just baffling, he says. It's incredibly profound. He says, I'm not going to use coercion. I'm not going to use violence and power, right? That's the way of the world, right? Just like, hey, I want to get my way. So here we go. whatever it takes. And instead, he says, no, I'm going to go the way of the cross. I'm going to sacrifice my life. I'm going to let them send their sins into me, into my very body. I'm going to bear them and take them on. And I'm going to change the world, and I'm going to change them by opening up this space for them to have a change of heart. This is stunning. This is beautiful. This is why I'm a Christian, honestly. This is it. Now, you say, okay, Brett, good stories, but what are you getting at? and here's what I'm getting at. The point of Christian faith is not simply that we hear the story and then believe the story and say, yes, oh my gosh, that is so profound. I love it. I love that story. I am in favor of that story. Because does that change the world? No. Right? We don't need more people acknowledging, yep, that is very profound. Boy, I wish more people could hear that story and do something about it in the world. What does that do? Nothing. What do we need? We need people who are willing to live the story. Live the story. Engage it. Like, let that story seep into your body. This is what I've been trying to say for 3 years in a million different ways. Just let it get into you, let it seep into you, and then let it come out. Love. Right? I'm sorry, but I'm not angry. I'm very passionate. I love, there's a story from Dostoevsky, the Russian novelist I quote all the time, and he has this line about how that basically, he says, I love humanity. It's people I can't stand. And that's so true. Like, I love people. There's no one I love more. Human being, just the idea of human beings is fabulous. He says, but the problem is the minute I have to live in close quarters with someone, the way they eat, just the way they open the door and then slam, or just a little, and it's just like, I can't stand. I love humanity, just can't stand actual human beings. And this is why I think what Jesus is getting at is so like, it is just down and dirty like real life. It is love one another. See, the idea of that is fabulous. Just like, yes, that's awesome for other people to do. I don't actually want to do it. I don't want to go to my place of work and actually interact with people and have to love them. Right? Have you ever noticed how we often treat our family the worst? Isn't that remarkable? Why? Because it's the exact opposite of humanity in general. It's the very people who are like all in our business and and it's like that's where the rubber meets the road. Right? It's to live compassion, live kindness, live patience, live with joy, with understanding, seeking to understand before seeking to be understood, right? Listening. That this is what will change the world. It is not simply saying, that's a beautiful story, but it's saying, oh, Jesus, how would you live my life if you were me? And then living in that way. It is allowing the Holy Spirit to transform us from the inside out. Live the story. Bow your heads, close your eyes. I'm going to pray for you. Lord Jesus, we love you. We love you. We love your story. And God, we want you to sweep us up into it. God, may every person here, may we find ourselves, may we find our place in your story. And I want to pray for those who feel like maybe they just feel they're not worthy of the story. Like that is way beyond their pay grade. And may you speak to them. And may you sweep them up into the story, that they would just start taking just little steps of faithfulness, little steps of kindness, little steps of compassion, where they don't lash out when they used to lash out, when they don't freak out where they used to freak out. Yeah, and I lift up this entire church community. May we be people who live the story. No matter what the future holds for us, may we live the story. We open ourselves to you, God, and your heart, and your truth. It's in the name of the crucified and risen Jesus that I pray. Amen. Amen. Well, I love you all very, very much. Very much. And I'm grateful. Really grateful. Really grateful. Yeah, it's been a profound privilege. So, I know we have next week. We do. But that'll be different. So, I love you all. And I encourage you, take this last song and just let it, man, let the words, let it seep into you. You know? Just to let that Jesus story and who Christ is through the Spirit, let him just get in you. Open yourself up to him. And just have some time with God. So, I love you all, and I hope to see you here next Sunday. God bless.
My life be lifted high, and our world be lifted high, and our love be lifted high. In my life be lifted high, and our world be lifted high, and our love be lifted
Thanks, Brett. The Jesus story. There's something about it. I hope that each one of you will, throughout this week, either remember something that was said or the words from the songs will wash across your heart. Take those snapshots and let them just keep your heart lifted through this week. Another thing is, we're not on this journey alone. It takes others, and it takes allowing others into your sphere to be able to walk this out and to be able to live the story. So before you leave today, if you would like prayer, or you would like to be seen, or you would like to receive prayer, don't leave before doing that. There will be people up here at the front at the end of the service that would love to be able to be that for you. Don't forget about our community meal next week. Please bring something to share and plan to stay after for that. And lastly, if you're comfortably able, can you all please stand? And I would like to just speak this blessing over each one of you. You are a child of God. This is true on your best day, and it's true on your worst day. It's true for those that are in here surrounding you right now. It's true for everyone outside of these walls. So as you go out from here today, go filled with the assurance that you are loved, you are worthy, and you are accepted just as you are. And as you go filled with God's Holy Spirit and being willing to extend those same gifts of divine love and grace to everyone you come in contact with this week. Be blessed. Hope you have a great week, and we hope to see you back here next Sunday. You're dismissed.